Good evening, I'm Michael, and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Choosing Bung Moktar to lead BN in the Sabah state election was a suicidal move, Rahman Dahlan said 2 weeks ago. In politics, that's a very long time, and things appear to have changed. Sabah Umno leaders Bung Moktar Radin and Abdul Rahman Dahlan appear to have put their disagreements aside ahead of the Sabah state elections, which is set to take place at the end of the month. UMNO President Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, who witnessed the reconciliation, shared a photograph of him posing with the two leaders, beaming with joy. Previously, Rahman Dahlan held a press conference in Kuala Lumpur to reject Bung's appointment as Sabah BN Election Operations Director. The former minister described Bung's appointment as a suicidal move by BN. When contacted, Bung Moktar confirmed that he had made peace with Rahman. The driver in the viral video that caused a motorcycle to crash before driving off on the emergency lane has been remanded by the police. The driver of a white Toyota Camry who was involved in an alleged hit-and-run along the Kuala Lumpur-Karak Highway on August 31st has been arrested. According to the Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department, in a statement, the driver was arrested after dashcam footage of the incident went viral on social media. In the video, the white Toyota can be seen cutting into the emergency lane from the left lane to avoid heavy traffic. The car's sudden move made it difficult for a motorcyclist lane splitting between the emergency lane and the left lane to react in time. This resulted in a crash. According to the police, the motorcycle rider and the pillion rider were treated for injuries at the Bentong Hospital. Meanwhile, the 37-year-old driver of the car has been arrested and will be investigated under Section 42 of the Road Transport Act for reckless driving. The police also thanked road users for highlighting the incident and for sharing evidence with the authorities. Many were surprised when Syed Saddiq didn't join Dr. Mahathir's new party. There's a reason for that. This is what he told us. Former Bersatu Youth Chief Syed Saddiq's side Abdul Rahman's new political movement will be independent of Pejuang, the new political party formed by Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. In an interview with Malaysia Kini, the MUA MP revealed why he decided not to join his political mentor.
I will always have my respect to Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. I think it is timely for us to create and harness the energy of multiracial Malaysia and the great diversity which comes with it. I've already informed him and the leadership of Pejuang of my decision not to join the party and the reasons why. I wish them all the best.
Syed Saddiq explained that he decided against taking the easy way out by joining an existing multiracial party because he wanted to disrupt the status quo.
But I think it's time for me and many other young Malaysians to move forward to set up a highly disruptive platform which harnesses the diverse energy of Malaysia and a platform which is not representative of the same typical politicians but made up of those who have served their own industries, platforms, NGOs, corporations and channel their success stories in their own fields into politics and disrupting to ensure that Malaysia's future becomes better.
With its fresh faces, policies and approach to politics, Syed Saddiq's new platform is aiming to appeal to the 7.8 million new voters that the Undi 18 constitutional amendment is slated to bring. Dubbed Muda Malaysia for now, he told Malaysia Kini that the platform was committed to the cause no matter how long it will take.
So I think I want to ensure that I don't have to compromise on my principles. And that's why it may be a long process. I may lose my seat, I may lose everything. I've come to terms with that. That's why when I discuss with all these young leaders, to me, they are taking a bigger sacrifice than me. But one of the questions which they asked me is, am I willing to lose everything? Which means even possibly losing my seat. I said, I am. Because when we are in this, we are in this together. Yes, it means that this is a hard way out, a long journey and a long battle, but we are in this together. And if we lose, it's fine. As long as we try, we no longer need to make those unnecessary principle-based compromises. Because now, finally, we are fighting for something which we genuinely believe in. And it's no longer enough to just say that we want to create a platform which is anti-corruption and abuse of power. Malaysians want more.
The DAP wants to know why MACC has been silent on a deputy minister recommending his son to the board of a pharmaceutical company. DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng has questioned why the MACC has not taken action against Deputy Defence Minister Iqmal Hisham Abdul Aziz for recommending his own son to the board of Pharma Niaga Berhad.
Explaining why no action has been taken against Deputy Defence Minister Iqmal Hisham Abdul Aziz for recommending his own son as a member of the board of directors of Pharma Niaga. Iqmal recommending his own son as a member of the board of directors of Pharma Niaga is a perfect toxic cocktail of abuse of power, corruption and nepotism emerging from the Perikatan National Government. MACC must show that they do not practice double standards, no such thing as antara dua darjat, make sure that everyone is equal in the eyes of law, whether it's a VIP or an ordinary citizen. They should act immediately against Iqmal to demonstrate that they do not practice double standards.
Iqmal had not only admitted that he wrote the letter of recommendation, but admitted that he was wrong and would withdraw his recommendation. Iqmal on August 22nd said he regretted writing a letter of support for his son, but remembers writing a follow-up letter asking for it to be cancelled. It is learned that the pharmaceutical company had several vacancies on its board of directors following the recent retirement of 3 members prior to the company's annual general meeting on July 20th. The company had later appointed 3 new members, Azhar Ahmad, Najmil Faiz Muhammad Aris and Zulkifli Jafar. Lim nonetheless argued that the attempt was an abuse of power and nepotism and corruption all rolled into one. Meanwhile, on a separate matter, the former finance minister reiterated his call for the government to extend the loan moratorium to all borrowers.
The government doesn't know how bad the situation is on the ground. You all tell me, is the situation bad or not? Is the situation bad or not? Everybody knows it is very bad. But mereka yang dalam itu aircon room, mereka yang pergi Turki, mana boleh tahu?
Another death has been reported and a new cluster detected. Here's the country's latest COVID-19 situation. Malaysia reported 14 new COVID-19 cases today, including an outbreak at a police lockup in Sabah. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Norisham Abdullah told a press conference today that of the 14 new cases, 9 were local transmissions, including 7 in the newly detected cluster. The new cluster was identified as a result of screening of new detainees at the Lahad Datu District Police Headquarters in Sabah. Dr. Hisham said 50 detainees were screened on August 28th, and from that number, 7 tested positive for COVID-19 and 43 individuals tested negative. He said all of those who tested positive did not show any symptoms and have been admitted to the Lahad Datu Hospital. Meanwhile, a second patient linked to the Tawak cluster has died of COVID-19 in Penang, making this the 3rd death recorded in the past several days. This puts the country's COVID-19 death toll at 128. It was Merdeka Day yesterday, and many people appear to have forgotten that the RMCO is still in place. A total of 673 individuals were fined in a single day for violating the Recovery Movement Control Order rules on Merdeka Day. According to Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob, this would make it the highest number since the RMCO began.
Ini menunjukkan bahawa keingkarannya bertambah. Mungkin rakyat telah pun merasakan bahawa PKPP sudah tidak ada, SOP tidak perlu dipatuhi. Jadi sebab itulah ramai yang dikenakan kompaun.
Overall, 778 people were arrested for violating the RMCO rules yesterday. 98 individuals were remanded and 7 were released on police bail. In a public address last week, Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin announced that the RMCO would be extended until the end of the year. It was originally supposed to end yesterday. However, Muhyiddin pointed to the recent Sivaganga, Tawa and Salah clusters to stress that the country continued to be threatened by the virus. The Prime Minister also hinted last week that the compound may be increased by 2 or 3 times the current amount. When asked about this today, Ismail said it will be a long process.
Jadi kita telah pun menyerahkan kepada Menteri Undang-Undang untuk melihat dan meneliti perkara ini dan berbincang dengan pihak Kementerian Kesihatan. Kalau perlu pindaan, maka kita akan pindah, dan jika dipindah, ianya perlu diluluskan oleh Parlimen kerana ianya melibatkan akta. Jadi prosedur itu akan kita patuhi. Ya, jadi daripada kajian, Selepas dicadangkan akan diluluskan dulu oleh kabinet, bawa ke parlimen, diluluskan oleh parlimen, lepas itu bawa ke Dewan Negara untuk diluluskan oleh Dewan Negara sebelum digezetkan untuk baru boleh dilaksanakan.
Coming up next, talks between Israel and the UAE continue. US and Israeli aides made aviation history by cutting straight over Saudi territory en route to Abu Dhabi for talks. Top aides to US President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu boarded a historic flight from Tel Aviv to the United Arab Emirates on Monday to finalize a pact marking open relations between the Gulf power and Israel. Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner and Israeli National Security Advisor Meir Ben-Shabbat among them. Captain Tal Becker took to the intercom in Arabic, English and Hebrew, using the three languages to announce the flight number and destination. The El Al Airlines Boeing 737 made aviation history by cutting straight over Saudi territory en route to the UAE capital, where Israeli and Emirati officials will hold US-brokered normalization talks. A few hours later, touchdown in Abu Dhabi. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, with Kushner suffering his own mic drop moment before taking to the podium.
I believe that this agreement has the ability to change the whole course of the Middle East. For the last 3.5 years that I've been working on different issues in the Middle East, there's been a lot of sense of hopelessness. The last decades we've had conflict and war and division, and what happened here was three great leaders came together and they started writing the script for a new Middle East.
Palestinians have been dismayed by the UAE's move, worried that it would weaken a long-standing pan-Arab position that called for Israeli withdrawal from occupied territory and acceptance of Palestinian statehood in return for normal relations with Arab countries. For the residents along Indonesia's Cisadane River, the coronavirus has brought not just a deadly disease, but also medical waste. Dirty syringes, used masks and gloves are among the waste streaming into the Cisadane River in Indonesia's city of Tangerang. Medical waste has been piling high since the first cases of coronavirus in the country. Then in May, the walls of a landfill beside the river collapsed, sending tons of garbage cascading into the river, doubling the threat of those downstream, families who bathe and wash their clothes in the river. It's triggering fears that the coronavirus could spread as the country still struggles to contain it. 39-year-old Astri Deviani is trying to keep her children away from the water.
I worry about the kids getting infected with COVID-19 when they swim here. I'm anxious. That's why I always forbid my children from swimming in the river.
Indonesia has the highest COVID-19 death toll in Southeast Asia, and like many countries, it's also got a huge increase in medical waste. The Ministry of Health has admitted that the country lacked treatment facilities and said it was trying to find a solution. Ade Yunus, the founder of Cisadane River Rubbish Bank, is working with volunteers to organize a cleanup.
We are concerned about the sustainability of this river. We don't want it polluted with any waste, including industrial waste, which is dangerous, especially during this pandemic.
The Health Ministry said that up to 1,500 tons of COVID-19 medical waste was produced across the country each day from March until June. And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.